welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's always a privilege and honor, but I would want to say something first. I want to thank you and Grant for what you do with our community newspaper for all the communities. I think that a free and independent press is important to our nation, and I thank you for what you guys have done and continue to do.
Well, our pleasure, and I learned a long time ago from my father, who was in radio and TV and then newspapers for many years, that's an important aspect of communication and of our lives. So, and speaking of that, there's down south, down in Palmetto Bay, there's some conversations going on about what's called bridging, which is there are several bridges that, when open, they will allow people from the south end to go north. And you're a Palmetto Bay resident, so let's talk about bridging.
Yes, and they'll allow the people in the north to go south.
Yeah.
It's a two-way street.
I'm sorry, I forgot about that part.
Yes, there's been a lot of misinformation and disinformation put out. I brought some factual information with me today. There was also an article in the Herald recently where I was quoted, and which was nice. It seemed to be pretty well balanced. This bridge issue has been going on for a while. Some people think it's just happened, but it didn't. It originally started in 1978, and then when we got incorporated in 2004, the village put forth a resolution having to do with cut-through traffic. But one thing I want to make clear is that the county charter that we have, that the state gave us, gives the county board of commissioners, they're charged with to provide and regulate arterial, toll, and other roads, bridges, tunnels, and related facilities, and to develop and enforce a master plan to control traffic and parking. That's the county's responsibility. And Palmetto Bay, for some reason, thinks that they supersede the county on these issues of this bridge. There's been a lot of misinformation that the bridge will cause property loss of value.
Just one bridge or many bridges when you say?
Well, right now they're only talking about the 87th Avenue bridge. Now,
okay.
As I understand it, this guy, Bill Kessel, did some research and he came up with there's like 11 bridges that are in Palmetto Bay, including US 1 and Old Cutler. And I was driving here this morning up through the village in Pinecrest, and I went over several bridges. I couldn't get out without crossing a bridge. For some reason, this one bridge is going to be detrimental where none of the other bridges are. And as far as property values go, a house on 82nd Avenue recently sold for almost $750,000. Now, 82nd Avenue is the main north-south corridor between 168 and 152. If property values were going to suffer, that house would not have sold for that, because that road is heavily traveled. A friend of mine was going up 82nd in Pinecrest the other day, and there's a house for sale at 128th Street and 82nd. That's a very high traveled area. Corner house. She's the realtor. She stopped, say, "Oh, what's going on?" This house was on the market for $1.3 million and had 3 offers the first day. If traffic was going to be an issue, that house wouldn't have been offered at 1.3 and it wouldn't have got 3 offers. So that's an issue that should go away, and you don't need to talk about. Your property values aren't going to drop. Your quality of life is not going to drop either, because if it was, the people that live in these multi-million-dollar houses in Pinecrest would be up and screaming and hollering about their quality of life, and they're not. So we know that's not a true statement.
It's not a bridge per se. It's continuation of the pavement from over here
exactly.
to here.
We're connecting 2 roads. We're not building a new road. People say, "Oh, it will bring more traffic." The traffic's already here. If you haven't been down south to see the building that's going on, you need to go down there and see what's happening, because there's a tremendous amount of building, and we're going to have more traffic after this period we're in now than we had before, and we had plenty before. Now, we never had cut-through traffic in my neighborhood until when they built the traffic circle. They used our neighborhood as a bypass. And after that, the people said, "Oh, wow, I didn't know this. I could go through." And that's when we started getting cut through traffic through my neighborhood of Marlboro. But let me go back to 2004, when the village, this was also a letter that, Lexter Dayton, a former attorney
for the village.
For the village, brought to the village and said, and this was a letter, Miami-Dade County has exclusive jurisdiction in respect to all matters of traffic engineering within the territorial areas of Miami-Dade County, subject only to the jurisdiction of the State Road Department. So that again says, Palmetto Bay, you don't really have a say-so in it. You know, it's really a county decision, and they will make the decisions. Now, in 2004, there was an issue with cut-through traffic in our village. But it wasn't in District 3 in my neighborhood. It was in District 1, and it was in District 2, Southwood and Mangowood areas. So they wrote a resolution. It was 04-100. And it says, whereas the specific project should redirect non-local traffic onto main arterial roads and reserve local streets for local traffic. Well, that's the issue we have right now. We want that arterial road to be open so that the cars will stay on the main road where it was designed to carry traffic, where you have the houses that are set back farther, and you have the sidewalks that we don't have on our interior streets.
Old Cutler Road's historic road, been around for 60 years or 70 years. What are some of the houses selling for on Old Cutler Road? A very busy road that is backed up forever, right? What are some of those homes selling for?
They're started to make it go up.
Right.
I mean, really, in fact, I was coming up 72nd Avenue in Pinecrest this morning. I don't remember the street, but there was this magnificent house on the left, and I'm saying, there's probably only one person in Palmetto Bay that could afford to buy that house. That was our former vice mayor. The rest of us can't touch it. It's on a corner. It was like 104th or 102nd Street. Or
by the way, so I was in going down Sunset Drive, going east from 57th Avenue in South Miami, and I'm going east, and I started looking at the homes here. Millions and millions of dollars for some of these homes. And on the Circle and the Gables over there, where I don't know how much traffic they have, but it is a direct connection. And some of those homes, there has to be a home there that's got to be $5, $6, $7, $8 million.
Yes, exactly. Right? So property values, it's not an issue. It's not a problem. You're not going to drop. They're going to stay steady or go up. Your safety is okay. You don't have to worry about it. People say, oh, well, it's a road to nowhere. It only goes to 141. Actually, that's not the destination of people. We have, I brought something today that few people have seen. Let me pull it out here where I brought it. A few years ago, I was on a committee in the village, and we were working on a problem with the traffic to have to do to what we could do. So we thought about creating a school bus for the local people. Then we found out that the educational committee was also talking about it. So I started attending their meetings and discussing it. And one of the meetings they brought to us, a representative from the school board brought, were these maps of 4 of the schools in Palmetto Bay. Now there's like 14 schools and daycare centers in Palmetto Bay. And this is the destination in the mornings of these parents. It's not headed to 141 to get out on US 1. They're headed to these schools to drop their children
How many
off.
schools are there altogether?
I think 14 schools. I mean, you like on 168th Street.
So between public and private and
exactly.
nurseries.
And the daycare places
yes.
to drop the little kids off so they can go on to work. And then once they do that, then they hit these 77th or 82nd or 72nd in Cutler and US 1 to go north. Now this one here, no, on 168, you got Christ Fellowship with their school. You got Henry Bryan across the street. Now these maps, it's incredible what these maps show, because what happened was the state legislature allowed children to pick whatever school, or parents to pick whatever school their children to go to, instead of fixing an F or D school. They just said, okay, take your kids somewhere else. And we didn't fix the problem. And we just made a worse problem by now that parents have to take their kids to school. And we have a tremendous amount of additional traffic every morning. But these are like this Henry Pine. This is like 4 years old, this map. Okay. So we'll go by what it says here. It says 450 students live within the 2 miles of the school. Well, if you're in 2 miles of school, you got to find your own way to get to school.
Yep.
That's it. So So yeah, 450 parents are trying, and elementary schools, you're not going to have your kid walking to school or riding a bike. You know, I mean, I did in 7th or 8th grade.
But let's look at Hal Feldman. Let's see what he says. While I don't want to start an argument, 82nd Avenue home and their prices don't prove your statement. Okay, homes are valued based upon their feature, condition, size, and the road proximity plays a lesser role. Al, by the way, is in real estate, Remax. So there's your plug, Al. All right, active in Palmetto Bay, and I think he used to live in Palmetto Bay, or currently lives in the area. So let's look at the issues are continuing. This is, I'll bet it's 15 years old, 20 years old. All right. At some point, somebody, some entity has to say, we're going to take charge of the roads and we're going to connect this side over here and this side over here. Is it 100 feet over whatever it happens to be, 200 feet, 300 feet, right? Because in the overall greater good, right, for each of these areas, people have to be able to go to and fro, right?
Correct.
And have there been any real suggestions on how to handle this, the traffic that's here for the schools that are there, which, by the way, in September, coming up in a few short months, 6 months or so, that the traffic is going to continue at what it was a year and a half ago. So it's short of this connection of this particular road on 87th Avenue. What is the solution for these folks that are trying to get in and out of and go through Palmetto Bay, Pinecrest, and Cutler Bay?
Well, apparently, this is the only solution because nobody else has come up with anything different. We tried to get this school bus program, but the village council wasn't listening to what it was. It would have helped. And we had a deal with Franmar that was a good price for pick your kid up and drop it off. Just take cars off the road. These buses could hold up to 60 kids. Well, that never went anywhere. But there is no other solution than to complete the grid. Every traffic study that's been done, the one that was commissioned by the council, Gene Flynn and Company, back in 2004 with the Cordino Group, and the bottom line
2004, 17 years ago.
Yeah, they said you have to complete the grid. End of story. It's, you know, I'll read the exact wording.
But can we see your signs over there?
Yeah.
All right, let's face it right to the camera. The camera over on right over here.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Buildthebridges.org. Okay. I support the bridge. All right.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Well, this sign, contrary to what you'll see on Facebook, was not bought by developers, but it was bought by donations of residents that live in the area. They're the ones paying for the signs. Over this past weekend, somebody went out and went on private property with a can of spray paint and painted a red X on something. Now, that's a criminal mischief, misdemeanor. You're not supposed to go on somebody's property and damage yours. People are advocating stealing the signs and throwing them away. That's not how we do this in America, These signs were put on people want to extend their First Amendment right to say how they feel about something, and these signs were created. I was not part of when the signs were created. People have asked me to get them some, so I've done that. But these signs are just part of an extension.
Bob, since 2000 and when was it? 2004. 2004. Thousands of homes have been built south of Palmetto Bay.
Correct.
Thousands, many thousands, and there are literally thousands more in the works. Most of those people need to move from where they are south to north.
Correct.
Right? The question at hand is, will they go on the busway when it's there? Will they go in cars, Uber, whatever it is? My guess is there are so many people that are moving there. Most of the jobs are north. The people that are against this particular connection of the roads, how does it matter to them how the people will move from down south to north? Do they give any credence to that?
Here's the problem. Miami does not have mass transit. We have the Metro Rail's rapid transit. Our bus system only runs along, I don't believe there's a bus route through Palmetto Bay because the bridge isn't there. But most people, the Metro Rail and the buses, only take you so far and to a certain place. If you don't have or are in walking distance of a metro rail station, then you're going to have to find another way to get to work. So people like, they don't, if metro rail doesn't go where they want to go or need to go, they're not going to use it. And that's why they take their car. First they drop their kids off. Now they got to go to school. The bus system doesn't work for them. Metro rail doesn't work for them. The only thing it is the car.
But let me ask you, because people are saying, well, he doesn't live on 87th Avenue. All right. So what avenue do you live on, more or less?
I live on 86.
Okay, 86. Okay. And so the folks that are wondering, okay, so he's one block over. And the reality is that some entity has to fix this problem. And in all these years, I've not seen any other solution for this. And if the county's position has been, hey, we're in charge, all right? But over all these years, it's been such a hot potato that they have not done much about it.
Exactly. But back 2 or 3 years ago, well, yeah, about just 3 years ago when CAVA, we had the TPO meeting. I was at the meeting. They had trouble finding a quorum that day. They finally got it. I think there's 23 members of the TPO, and I finally got 16, as I recall. A lot of people say, oh, it was unanimously voted down. What happened was many people deferred to Commissioner Cava for whatever she wanted to do for her district. So it was more of a, okay, we'll let you do whatever you want. I'm not going to argue with it type of thing. But it wasn't like, yes, I'm with you. She didn't kill the bridge. She just postponed the date of construction. And people don't understand that. They thought it was done and finished and never coming back. Now, we have a new commissioner for there. Danielle Cohen-Higgins. I've met her. She's a fabulous person. A lot of people on the anti-bridge side have been trying to say, well, you're appointed. You're not really a commissioner. Well, I'm afraid she is. She's there. It's legal, people. And she's great. And she's impacted directly by it because she can't get out of her driveway either. So she sees it as a necessity that we must complete the grid and follow the recommendations of the professional traffic engineers.
In the late 70s, Southwest 56th Street at the Turnpike ended.
Yes.
And all of us in horse country, I was not there, I hadn't moved in there yet, fought to keep that road closed. And the county for years listened to the neighbors, for years. And finally the county says, no mas, it's over. We need to put that road in because we need to move traffic to the west and from the west to the east as what is going to, I think, occur through the Village of Parks, all right? Which is a connection of that road, that we call it bridge because it's easy to say that. The county, and it's all its wisdom, and the builders and the developers go to vacant land south, and they put up apartments and homes. And way out by Roberts is here, way out there, right across the street,
yes.
Right? Apartments going up. It's what it is, all right? And the when people sort of blame the folks for allowing that to go in, well, the developers have property rights, whatever that happens to be, right? And they put up those buildings. So a couple of years ago, there was some groups that were getting together from Cutler Bay, Palmetto Bay, Pinecrest, and farther south, and that group fell apart, as did the other day, all right, with the two of the cities, with this appointments to serve on some committees to try to make a recommendation. But we already know, all right, the position of the most vocal, all right, which I sense is, I hate to say this, the minority of people south and in Palmetto Bay. So what is it going to take before somebody puts their foot down and say, listen, these are county roads and we're going to do what is for better, for the betterment of the South Dade community?
I think that time has come. I think we're fast approaching it with this next meeting. It's going to be on March 18th. The TPO is going to meet. It's a different group of people than 3 years ago. We have some people and mayors on there that are impacted by it and others. And I'm looking very much forward to a...
We got some comments here. Can you, Tommy, could you scroll near the top so we can pick up after Hal? Wow, busy.
I don't know if you got enough time for that.
Okay. Mary Diaz, good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for having this discussion regarding traffic in Cutler Bay and Palmetto Bay. Carol Vega. Hey, Carol. The real discussion would be to stop the building and put the kids on buses. She responds that no one has worked with the school board, the county, and Palmetto Bay. Mary says, agreed, Carol's stop the building, but we still need the bridges. And Carol, and by the way, she owns property in horse country, and she is a great humanitarian and great with the animals. My hat's off
Yes,
to her.
Carol and I are friends.
All right.
Yeah.
Madeline, Tommy, can you move that up a little bit? Okay, Madeline, it's a county road and county issue. We aren't the only ones with this type. Michael, reach out to Eddie from Hialeah. They have the same problem between Hialeah and Miami Lakes. You want to read this next one? Can you read it?
Which one?
From Mariana Hickley.
Replying to Carol Johnson Vega, I used to take the bus in high school to school. It came at 5:30 a.m. It was always dark out. If your kid's the only one standing out there at 5 a.m. in the dark, would you want that? I wouldn't. My mom would drive to the stop and wait until the bus got there to make sure I got on it. It's not as safe as you think, especially this day and age, unfortunately.
Oops. All right. Carol, have a great day. I have to go to work on this bridge stuff. All right. Yeah. Oh, Sean. Hey, Sean. The iBus system would work great. Works great to get to the Metro Rail. Pre-pandemic, I use it daily. Didn't drive my car for over a year using it. Can you slide it up a little bit? Okay, that's good there. Kelly Harper Willis, thank you, Bob. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, here's one to Commissioner Daniela Cohen Higgins. Why don't you read that one?
Okay, Mary Day says, thank you for doing what you said you would do. So refreshing to have a politician who keeps their promises.
And Madeline Roman, replying to Sean Kramer, were you aware that that was the cost? Sean replying to Sean, blah, blah, no, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a hot subject. Can you scroll up a little bit more?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Now, one thing, you were talking about, this is my street here. If you want to see that, that's my street. It's not 87th Avenue, because 87th Avenue is already full of cars, so they came on my street. The one thing we haven't touched about is emergency response times for fire and police, and that's a critical item. Having been on the fire department, I can tell you.
How long did you serve?
32 years. Yeah. Now, I want to tell you a story about the city of Miami. I was with them.
We got 5 minutes.
Okay, because I got something else real quick. But there was a neighborhood in Miami that blocked off some streets, and we didn't know about it. We stumbled on it one night, and we talked to the people. We had a map, and we marked out all the blocked streets. And about 2 months later, we get a call for a child fell in a pool. And the only way we got to that house as fast as we did was I was sitting behind the driver with the map, and I was telling him where to turn, which way to turn, so we could get to that house without running into the blocked streets. This is fire rescue. I think Miami-Dade Fire Department will be at the Cutler Bay meeting Thursday night. I think we need to all listen to what they have to say. But now we're running out of time. The bridge is an issue that's coming to a head, and it's going to benefit many people, and it will be a positive aspect to our village, just like every other bridge in the village serves the people. And it's a long-term solution. It is not a short-term solution. Those are not my words. Those are the traffic engineers that have done numerous studies. Okay, I had a meeting with, shifting gears here, I had a meeting with a voice conference, telephone conference call Friday with Commissioner Higgins regarding our marinas and how it's been like 38 years since Black Point was built, which was the last improvement to our access to the water in Dade County, and there's been a lot of population increase in buildings. You can't, on a good weekend, you can't get to the marinas unless you camp overnight there to get in, and it's blocked out. So I said I wanted to speak about increasing the parking at the marinas. It would be a low-hanging fruit that we can grab real quick. I'm an environmentalist and conservationist and a tree hugger, and I hate cutting trees down, but we can remove some trees in these Crandon, Matheson, Black Point, and Homestead to increase parking to give these people access. And I was very much against what happened to the area out by the zoo with all those pine lines when they got done. I also pointed out there are two places, one south of Black Point on Princeton Canal, and one north of Homestead Bayfront Park on Moody Canal, where two new marinas could possibly be built. But that's down the road. But the increasing parking at these marinas could happen very quickly because it's county property and you're not going to deal with a whole lot of problems.
And speaking of marinas, I was on Key Biscayne yesterday. There must have been 100 boats waiting to get to the
Exactly.
launch their boats. It was a delight to be able to see people out there and enjoying themselves, and it was stunning. They were from small little boats to some pretty good sized ones, and we were there 3 hours, and there was still a line.
Yes.
Not the same line, but I mean not the same people, but there was still a line, people trying to get into the water. So we can appreciate the ocean and the bay and your efforts in bringing these things to everybody's attention. So in a week or so, there's going to be another little get together. All right.
Yes.
All right. And maybe after that meeting, you can come back again. And if you're anti-bridge, give us a holler at communitynewspapers.com, or you can call me 786-543-3872. We'd love to hear your position on it. Please, only one person at a time rather than two or three. Again, folks, we have some glass in between us, and I've also been inoculated both times. How about you?
Two, got both shots.
So I'm not sure we're 100% safe home yet, but we're on the way. So again, Bob, thanks you for being active in the community. Thank you for your 30 plus years as serving us as a
Thank you for
firefighter. And Tommy, thank you very much for producing the show. Again, this is Live with Miami's Community News. Our guest today is Bob Buzzelli. And thanks again, folks.